Vengeance Day took place tonight in Orlando, Florida at the WWE Performance Center. This was the first official NXT PLE of the year. Now, I did not watch any of the countdown show, but obviously I did watch the main show, which started off with some superstar arrivals. We see Ricky Saints, Joe Hendry, Tatum Paxley, Izzi, Kelani, Jordan, and Lola Vice all arriving to the PC. Then we have the opening video package for Vengeance Day. And we opened with Dion Lennox waiting for Tony D'Angelo in the parking lot. He had not yet arrived, and we thought that might be the opener, but it wasn't. Instead, Blake Monroe comes out in all black leather, looking great, as you'd expect. Then Jaida Parker comes out also in all black, also looking great. And we had the street fight, so there was actually a setup in around the ring. You had kendo sticks kind of lodged between the ropes so they would stand upright. Then you had trash cans on the outside. I think you even had a baseball bat, if I remember. So you had weapons set up around the ring. And after both of them come out, we get our street fight. Jaida Parker against Blake Monroe. So we saw a pretty good matchup. Jaida brought out a table early on, but of course Blake did the heel move that you do now, which is you get the table that the opponent, the face, brought out, then you slide it back under the ring. That's what Blake did to get the heat. Jaida began whipping her pretty hard with a kendo stick, really laying it into Blake. You saw trash cans used, trash can lids, a steel chain. Another table was eventually set up, and that's when Jaida put Blake on the table on the outside. Then she went on the apron, and then she did a springboard drop to the outside. Looked really good. Drove Blake Monroe through the table. Got a big pop. Fans love the tables, of course. Blake then kicked out of the hypnotic in the ring, and then we saw more weapons involved here. Blake would get the upper hand, and she would introduce a bag of diamonds. They always tease it's going to be thumbtacks. This time it was diamonds, and she actually threw the diamonds right in Jada's face as she was on the top rope. Then she did that Trish Stratus move when she would kind of in some ways do a modified version of a Hurricanrana from the top, and then Blake hit the beauty shot DDT on Jaida Parker and then pinned her. 1, 2, 3. Blake Monroe defeats Jaida Parker in what I would say is a surprisingly good matchup here. I think most people didn't have the highest expectations. Some people are critical of Jaida in the ring. There was a botch they had on NXT, I think it was a week or two ago, that was pretty bad, a suplex. But you know what, they came out here, they performed well. I thought Blake definitely needed the win here. I think she should be the NXT Women's Champion. I rant about this every week, but she got the win. She performed well. I thought Jaida performed well, and I hope they do a lot more with Jaida because I think she has potential here. But I enjoyed this match. I thought it was a good, fun matchup, simple matchup, and I enjoyed it as the opener. So they promoted WWE Evolve. Then they promote the Hall of Fame, which is at Park MGM. Ricky Saints asked Ethan Page why he wasn't there last Tuesday. This was in the locker room. I just felt like segments like this should have just been on TV. It doesn't need to be on a fucking PLE. Tony D'Angelo arrived outside, and then he's immediately attacked by Dark State, but he fights them off. He uses a crowbar on Dark State, and we get a Tony D'Angelo, Dion Lennox brawl. And it's a parking lot brawl to start. Then they go into the warehouse, and it becomes a warehouse brawl. And then they go back outside, and that's when OTM fights off Darkseid, who kept attacking Tony during this matchup. Eventually, they go backstage. They make their way into the PC. They go backstage, and I had no idea that NXT is set up like this, where you're backstage, and actually the podium, that circular structure, it leads you to backstage, and I had no idea that it was set up like that. Anyways, they go crashing through the structure, which looks like it's made out of cheap cardboard because it's just it blows open so easily. But eventually, I don't think many people were looking forward to seeing them wrestle. They're more interested in a parking lot brawl. But since that was over, they actually go into the ring. Once they got in the ring, and really on the outside first, they had a good matchup. I was not expecting this. It was actually a really good matchup. So Choni crashes into the steps, then Dion throws him over the barricade, and then Dion, as he's on the barricade, and on the barricade there's that railing, and it's by the announce booth, so Dion suplexes Choni off the barricade, and Choni was in the crowd. His back was towards the crowd. Superplexes him over the barricade through the announce booth, and it looked great because they went smashing through the announce booth. Everything just flew open. It was like they smashed right through it, and they got a lot of holy shit chants, and it was a great spot here. And then they're in the ring again, and that's when we get some finishers here. Choni actually kicked out of a sit-down powerbomb. Then Choni hit a spear on Dion. Then he hit the dead to rights to win the match. Choni D'Angelo gets the win. Another very good matchup. So far, the show was 2 for 2. Both matches delivered. I think both matches over-delivered to start off. Then we got a Tatum Paxley video package followed by an Izzi Dame video package. Okay, there's just too much dead time on these WWE PLEs. It was bad for NXT too. I can kind of get it with the main roster because of all the fucking advertisements and the sponsors, but it's too much, man. There's just so much dead time. Then we go backstage. We see Lola Vice getting her hand taped up. Then we get another video package with Tatum Paxley and Izzi Dame. This one was the official video package. And I'll be honest, I had low expectations going into this match. Tatum Paxley was out first, followed by Izzi Dame, who came out alongside Shawn Spears and Nico as she defended her NXT Women's North American Championship. I just think with Izzi Dame and the calling, it doesn't really fit. She's like this hot, tall, blonde chick. She's not a goth girl. That I don't get any vibes that she's goth in any ways. But we get our NXT Women's North American Championship. Izzi Dame fighting against Tatum Paxley. So Tatum got some offense early on, and then Izzi got the heat for a while. Tatum made a comeback. Fans were really behind her here. They exchanged blows, and they kicked out of signature moves. Tatum hit a really cool, insane flip over powerbomb to the outside, and it actually looked really good. It wasn't too much of a delay, and it actually looked like Izzi hit the ground hard. It looked great. Got some holy shit chance. So this spot was very similar to the superplex through the table, the announce booth, in the previous match. So both matches had that crazy spot that really elevated it before they went back into the ring and went into the final act after that. So Tatum was almost counted out. She barely got in because she was distracted by Shawn Spears. Then she took Izzy's finisher and looked like that's it. It's over 1-2. But Tatum kicks out. They go back and forth. We get some blows. Fans are super into this. This has actually turned into a really good match that I had low expectations for. Eventually, Tatum Paxley hits the cemetery drive. 1, 2, 3. Tatum Paxley wins the Women's North American Championship, seemingly wins the feud against Izzi Dame, is now a champion again. She was the NXT Women's Champion, now she's the NXT Women's North American Champion, defeats Izzi Dame. A hell of a match. I can't believe how good this match was. It had no right to be this good. My expectations were low for this match. I thought this would easily be the worst part of this show. Turned out, I thought this was might have been my favorite match on the whole show. Probably was. It was. It was actually my favorite match. It was really good. Crowd was great here. They were super into it. They were really behind Tatum, and Tatum gets the win. She celebrated with the crowd. She is a babyface, man. I know her favorite wrestler. She really looks up to Alexa Bliss. And I'm not saying she's going to be as big of a star as popular, but she has that thing where Alexa has to get the crowd behind her. And she can do it, man. Congratulations to Tatum, man. Tatum and Izzy had a hell of a matchup. Then we see Kelani Jordan warming up backstage for the Underground match. Blake Howard interviewed OTM on why they attacked Dark State backstage again. Should have just been on Tuesday. Robert Stone was in the ring. He introduced JC Jane and Fatal Influence to the ring. Of course, that's along with Laney Reed and Fallon Henley. JC cuts her usual promo. She actually took a shot at Ava, it seemed like, the former GM, as she was talking to Robert Stone. Then she indirectly referenced Gigi Dolan for sure, and or Mandy Rose, I'm not sure. But she talked about how people around her were released, and you would think that she was talking about her former partners. Then she says she might, she really put herself over here, how she's proving the doubters wrong. She says she might main event WrestleMania this next year. What a joke. Okay. Finally, Robert Stone cuts her off. Zarya comes out. Then Fallon gets on the mic. Then Laney gets on the mic. Sol Ruca comes out. Again, this should have just been on Tuesday, because there wasn't really much of a match set up for Tuesday. It was the Tuesday after. So again, this was a Tuesday segment, but they had to fill 2 hours probably. But what happens is Robert Stone announces a triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship in Houston, and that's going to be on March 17th. So JC defends against both Sol Ruca and Zarya in a triple threat match, and it leads to a brawl. Sol hit the Soul Snatcher on Zarya, but then Laney hit a running knee to Sol to set up a match on Tuesday. Fado and Flint stands tall, but we got a triple threat match on March 17th in Houston. Blake Howard interviewed Kelani Jordan in a backstage video segment. I hope we don't see less of Sarah Schreiber. They already got rid of Kelly Kincaid. I don't know. I don't know why we didn't see Sarah on the show. Charlie Dempsey and Tavion Heights were talking backstage when Lexis King, Stax, and Ariana Grace and the other guy who came from Chase U tried to recruit Charlie, sets up a tag team match on NXT. Whatever. The Underground was set up, and then we got a video package for the match. Kelani Jordan was out first, then Lola Vice came out. Lola Vice had her dad in the front row watching her. And we have her NXT Underground matchup. Lola Vice against Kelani Jordan. So Lola locked in the rear naked choke early on. Then Kelani attacked the hand that she injured. She rips the glove off. So she literally took the glove off, right? Then she keeps attacking the hand. Lola made a comeback. Lola then eventually knocks out Kelani Jordan with a spinning back fist. Then she jumps on her, hits her with blows after that, and that caused the TKO. The fight's over. And her father loved it in the audience. I thought it was entertaining for what it ended up being, which, the Underground match, my expectations are never too high. I thought it was fine for what it was. And Lola is now 4-0 in the Underground. She beats Kelani Jordan. She had to win after she got tapped out on NXT a few weeks ago. So Kelani gets her comeuppance here. Lola knocks her out, and Lola Vice wins it. And as I said, she's 4-0. She celebrated afterwards. And I don't know if this feud seems like it should be over by now, right? We got a Joe Hendry video package. Then we go backstage. Fallon Henley and Laney Reid are trying to give GT Jane confidence ahead of the triple threat match. It's then announced Laney Reid will face Sol Ruca this Tuesday on NXT. Then they preview NXT on Tuesday. And then we get the NXT Championship video package. Ricky Saints was out first, followed by Joe Hendry, who was, of course, very over in front of this crowd. And by the way, wanted to mention, this crowd was really hot. I mean, we've seen so many crowds where it's dead, like recently, especially on the main roster. But this crowd in the Performance Center, who's there every week, basically, they were actually really hot here. Maybe this is because it's one of the first times they've had a PLE at the Performance Center. I mean, they used to always do the NXT takeovers at the Full Sail University campus. Then they moved them out eventually, and they never came back. But it's been a while. They don't usually do it on their home base, so it's cool to see them there, and the fans are really into it. So I wanted to credit the fans. They actually made the show better, and I think especially in the Izzi, Dame, Tatum, Paxley match, they helped elevate that match so much better than what we get on the main roster, which is usually dead fucking silence. So then we get the NXT Championship matchup. Joe Hendry defending against Ricky Saints. Joe got some offense early on, then Ricky got the heat for a while, but then Joe makes his babyface comeback. They trade blows. Joe Hendry actually hit an AA, which is ironic because he was I know he had a lot of conversations about John Cena. He really wanted to wrestle him, so he did a tribute with the AA. Ethan Page made a run in. He picked up the championship belt. Rookie wants him to throw it to him, but that would get you disqualified. Eventually, he throws it past Rookie towards Hendry, and there was like a tug of war over the belts. Eventually, the referee takes the belt away. Rookie hits a low blow, then he hits the Revolution DDT, but then Joe Hendry kicked out. The referee was then distracted. His back was turned as he was in the corner. Both of them were there. And Joe Hendry hit like the classic Ric Flair low blow onto Ricky Saints. All the whole time Ethan Page was on the outside. And then Joe hits the choke slam for the win. Defeats Ricky Saints. Nothing special here. Look, Joe Hendry's average in the ring. That's what he's always been. He's not great. He's average in the ring. Ricky Saints is good, but this was nothing special. It's what you'd expect. It was a fun match, fun main event. Hendry retains, and he is still the NXT champion. He celebrates. Ethan Page and Ricky helps Ricky Saints to the back. Joe Hendry celebrates his championship win. Fans are behind him, and that's how NXT Vengeance Day ends. The first NXT PLE of the year in the books. I thought it was a good show. Definitely, I think last year's Vengeance Day was better. But I felt like NXT was much hotter at that time. Way hotter, actually, last year than it was now. I thought it was a fine show. I thought it was a good show, a fun show. It was a very simple card. I mean, it's in the PC. It wasn't going to be anything special. Would have been like a great episode of NXT, but you can't have all the downtime, obviously. So if you would have subtracted the downtime, I would have liked the show a lot more. It would have been like an hour and 20 minutes instead of like 2 hours and 20 minutes. But I thought the show was good. Again, as an episode of NXT, would have been an awesome episode of NXT as a special. But as a PLE, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fine show, fun show. I really liked the first 3 matches. I thought Blake and Jaida delivered. It exceeded my expectations. Then I thought Tony D'Angelo and Dion Lennox delivered, exceeding my expectations again. Then Tatum, Paxley, and Izzi definitely delivered, certainly exceeded my expectations. The underground match was exactly what I thought it would be, and the main event was exactly what I thought it would be. So nothing too special, but I thought it was a fun show. It was a fun show to watch, and I enjoyed Vengeance Day. And now I guess with NXT, we're on the road to Stand and Deliver, which they told us multiple times. You know, they're really telling it like it's their biggest show. It's not on WrestleMania weekend, but is their biggest show. So we're officially on the road to Stand and Deliver.